All right, and welcome once again to the Power Lunch live show. After a 1-year hiatus, we are back with the Power Lunch live show. And I just remembered it's been a while. Usually I would be all like, I am so cryptic. You don't know who my guests are because I haven't revealed them yet. But I guess I already spoiled it. So here it is. Jonathan Goodman's here. The concept of this show is that we bring together a group of up to 4 speakers on various topics. Never know what the topic's going to be. I mean, I know because I can look at the list, but it's not like I sit down and plan and say, oh, we're going to talk about AI today. I bring in speakers who believe they're interesting enough to be on the show. And then my producers, Serendipity and Random Happenstance, because universal forces are much cheaper to employ than humans, will select which speakers go when and bring them together. We have an interesting conversation, and the people who are meant to show up do, and the ones who don't. So we had 4 speakers on my spreadsheet, but we have 1 speaker on the call, and he is the one who's meant to be here. So welcome, Jonathan Goodman, to the re-inaugural show of the Power Lunch live show.
Thank you so much, Michael. It is great to be here. You're a fantastic host, and I'm excited to participate in this.
Awesome. I thank you for giving me credit in advance because you haven't seen if I'm a fantastic host here now, but I guess I just have that vibe. Or it's polite to say so, setting the expectations. So I will briefly introduce myself, and then I will tell you about our guest right here. So I am, for those of you who don't know me, Michael Whitehouse, the guy who knows a guy. Since the main way this is distributed is on my social media, you probably know me. But if you don't, I'm Michael Whitehouse. I'm the guy who knows a guy. And you may be watching this on my social media. The purpose of this show is to meet awesome people. But the thing that I am actively promoting is JB Connect. What's JB Connect, you may ask? It is the best virtual networking event on the internet. I will give you a little banner here. Ooh, look, this website. It is a dedicated networking event. It is a networking event that is not, you go to those day-long events and they're full of speakers or they're full of pitches or they're full of things that aren't networking. Well, I decided I want a networking event that's just networking all the time. So that's what JB Connect is. You will leave with dozens of meetings on your calendar if you want to. Or if you're at the stage where you're like, I don't need dozens, I need 3, just the right people. You can do that too. You can just sit there and sift and be like, nope, yes, nope. It's built to work for introverts, for extroverts, for people who want to meet a lot of people who want to meet a few people. If you need to network in any way, shape, or form, this is the place because we got some awesome people coming. And that is our pitch. Now, let's get on to our interview. It's Jonathan Goodman. Who is Jonathan Goodman? I'm going to read the bio he sent me, and we're going to hope it's true. Jonathan Goodman is an accomplished entrepreneur and technology visionary with over 3 decades of experience. He holds degrees in graphic design, computer science, and an MBA, which provides a multidisciplinary perspective to his work. As vice president at Halyard Consulting, he has led the company's transformation into a leading AI consulting firm, offering services such as AI strategy consulting and AI-driven business transformation. Jonathan's expertise extends to founding Trigonal Gallery, pioneering AI-generated art, and serving as a fractional CMO, driving innovative marketing strategies. His career is marked by a relentless pursuit of technological innovation and business excellence. And that's his website, which I probably should have put up while I was talking. So that's how you can find. That is how you can find Jonathan. But Jonathan, welcome to the Power Lunch live show.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about what AI transformation for business is.
Well, so first, let me start off. Halyard Consulting has been around for about 15 years. We started in the SEO website creation. I then dabbled in crypto, fortunately, and NFTs, and then have found my way to AI and am now bringing the skill set to my team so that we can better help our small businesses that we work with. We also work with large businesses, but essentially the transformation that needs to happen is there are many positions. And look, I'm not let's fire everybody and have AI do everything, but there are positions in large companies, in small companies, where they're pain points. And those pain points can be reviewed and examined, and we can utilize AI, build bots specifically for those incidences, those skills that are needed and the work that needs to get done, and simplify the number of workers so that the workers that are there can work on much more harder things, right? You know, in the accounting department, there's somebody there who's taking receipts and they're entering in every single receipt, right? And then that goes in through some process and somebody else has to take a look at it. If you could put all your receipts on a table, take a photograph and have AI review that photograph and can see all the receipts and then put everything into an Excel spreadsheet and put that into your accounting tool, you've saved hours. And if not only that, possibly been able to reduce staff, allowing you to focus more on what you do, because so many small businesses are disrupted on a daily basis by things that don't actually help their bottom line. And that's where we come in. We work with the small businesses. Every small business is unique. We don't have a project that just can be perfectly fit into every small business. And so we work with the small businesses to understand exactly how they can utilize AI, and then we build those bots for them.
And yeah, a couple things come to mind with that. One of which is the idea. Some people are like, oh, they're going to take our jobs, which I always point out that machines have been taking our jobs for 180 years, and yet we still have labor shortages. So machines suck at taking jobs. Because
what if we're not meant to have jobs? What if we're not meant to have jobs?
Yeah.
What if we, as creatures on this planet, are supposed to enjoy our lives to the fullest? You know, a lot of people think about Wall-E and those, you know, the captain of the ship, and he's in a hover thing, and they're all drinking sodas, and they're all big, and they were sitting in these chairs, and they don't do anything because everything is perfectly put together through AI. And that is very much, you know, maybe that's what we're really supposed to be. Maybe we're supposed to be relaxing and enjoying life instead of being stressed by these, you know, little tasks that then take up the entire day.
Yeah, well, and that makes sense. I mean, there's an economic and policy issue that you have to shift the structure of the economy for that to work, but I'm all for it. But the other thing that we tend to find is when people are given leisure, they don't just sit around and drink milkshakes all day. They start creating art and music, and they write and they act and they study and they, you know, they live and they feel joy. So Barry Shore is actually, I believe, scheduled for a later show, but he popped in. He's like, hey, can I jump in? I'm like, of course you can. If the universe wants you in here, then you're going to be in here. And that is actually perfectly segued to what Jonathan was talking about, because Barry is the ambassador of joy. And Barry, we'll get to you in a second. I just want to bring up one other technical point with Jonathan before we pivot into that, which is one concern, aside from all the other, the moral questions and whatnot, is just accuracy. Because at one point, you know, it was hallucinating and whatnot. So how trustworthy is AI if you show it all your receipts to actually capture all the receipts and not miss them or misread them or whatnot?
Right. So the way that we build our bots is utilizing a knowledge base. So not only are these bots connected to some of the best LLMs, which are large language models like ChatGPT 4o and Claude, but we fill the knowledge base specific to the businesses. We take in their business plans. We take in all the history. If they have a history, you know, what they do, the RFPs that they respond to, the, you know, legal ramifications, where they work legally within, you know, their scope of the industry. And so that narrows down the opportunity for the AI systems to hallucinate. Now, you know, look, it's not great at calculating math for some weird reason, right? It is math, but it can't calculate math. But there are obviously checks and balances, right? Somebody has to review, even if I'm creating a blog post using AI, I still manually have to review that. But the hours that it would take for me to write that blog post, as opposed to having AI write it and then I review it, are significantly different.
Absolutely. Yeah. I actually just posted to Facebook like an hour ago a prompt for people to use, which is, I'm about to post this to Facebook. What should I know about it? And then you put in what you're about to post, because it will, that's a general, you know, like, hey, Jonathan, look this over for me. Because if you have a historical error and you give it to a friend, they're gonna be like, I don't think it was, I don't think it was 1875. I think it was 1857. If there's a grammatical error, if there's actually I put through a couple test cases, and one of them it caught grammar errors, one of them it caught a technical historical error, and one of them it said this post could be contentious and may offend some people. You might want to. It was very gentle, like maybe you should try saying my opinion is, and what is your opinion? Let's discuss this instead of making a declarative statement. It was actually really like a nuanced explanation. But that's the other thing
you know what we say in the industry? This is as bad as it's going to get.
Yeah,
this is the worst versions of AI that we will ever work with. And they are continually getting upgraded and improving. So yes, it's very possible that there may be hallucinations in a bot that I created this year or this month or this week. But I assure you that as the improvements happen, look, we just had a major, just 4.0, right? ChatGPT 4.0 is such a huge launch difference between 4 and what's coming in GPT-5 is revolutionary. Unbelievable stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, and that your $14 an hour employee can also hallucinate or make mistakes,
absolutely,
or be on drugs and actually hallucinate. So you never know. But so that's kind of thing you talk about. Like humans can do the work, AI can check it. AI can do the work, humans can check it. AI can do the work, and then AI can check it. There's all kinds of things. But let me bring in Barry into the conversation because I have his bio from the show in 2 weeks that he's going to be on. No. Next week, I think. I don't know. Anyway, I've got a bio. I'm going to read it for him, and I'm going to bring him the conversation.
Michael, you can just say he needs no introduction.
I could do it. So, funny story. I was running a summit a few weeks ago. I introduced one of the key speakers with my usual kind of low content, high energy introduction. And the speaker was like, "Oh, I'm going to need more than that from you," and actually called me back to introduce him more. So, but I'll give Barry the short introduction. Barry is the ambassador of joy. And once I give him the mic for a couple minutes, you'll understand why. But he has overcome some amazing thing. Oh, yeah. I didn't realize you had a new book.
Yes, well, that's one of the things. That's a great segue, Michael. So let me do two things. Number one, good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Now, Michael and Jonathan, how can I make the categorical statement that all the thousands, if not tens of thousands of people that are watching this are all good-looking? Because by definition, if they tuned into this business session, Michael and you, it means they're always looking for and finding the good in life. That's a good-looking person, Jonathan, right? Looking for and finding the good. So what a great way to have a segue to what I want to ask Jonathan about, because I just did publish another book. I'm happy to say we published 3 books last year. The Joy of Living, because I'm the ambassador of joy, not joy, joy, which stands for Journey of You. So we published that book. We published a book called Pocket Full of Acronyms, because that's how I love to live in life, with words that make a difference. You're a madman, Jonathan. Do you know that?
Am I?
Yes.
You haven't met me yet.
Now you know, because MAD stands for make a difference.
Ah, excellent.
You're a madman. You're making a difference in the world. And the third book we published is called Oh Shift. And we use Scrabble tiles, OH, and then SAI, and the F below the line, and then the T, because most people drop the F and shift, and the other stuff happens. And the fourth book we just published this year is called Reframing the Art of Living. So I want to ask Jonathan 3 questions.
Sure.
Actually, I'll make a statement. I feel like we're living in 1783 in England, the beginning of the Industrial Revolution.
Okay.
We had the Luddites, who were going against. And by the way, they had an interesting point, because what they thought was happening. They just didn't get on board with it. That's all. Right. There was will jobs be lost? Yeah.
You cannot stop progress.
Right. That's the good news. Will there be more jobs built and created that do more for the world? Yeah. Okay. Leave that aside. So that's how we're in the AI revolution, not the industrial revolution. Great. So I don't like writing, but I love publishing and people reading it, and we do well. I'm writing another book right now, Jonathan, and I'm specifically using AI, doing what you said, Michael. I have somebody doing it for me. So I'm trying to do as much hands-off as I can, and having them write the chapters. I gave them the voice, as it were, the outline of the things. We've gone through 3 iterations, and finally, on the 3rd iteration, no, actually the 4th iteration, it's a good voice, and it flows, and it's happening. And the whole book, which will be about 170 pages, is going to be done through AI. And I am saying to you, and I'm going to ask the question, you're right. Whatever we have today, in whatever the next period of time is, it's much like the Richter scale for, I lived in California for 45 years. So the Richter scale, if you know, and you've ever been in California, Jonathan?
I'm familiar with earthquakes. I live in New Jersey, and we just recently had an earthquake.
Okay, so you had an earthquake. That's right. You had a 6.1, and people are, wow, my gosh, the world is falling apart.
Yes.
Well, the difference between a 6.1 and a 6.2 is not just a tenth of it. It is a factor of 10. Okay, so it's 10 times. So as you're right, every version of ChatGPT, whatever it is going to be that much greater. So what's right now, I just sent out, I'm talking about an employee we have in Bangladesh who's conversant with this stuff. I'm just so impressed by young people who can do these things. Me, no. It's okay. It's not that I can't do it. I choose not to. Young people doing it. And I said to him, his name is Afnan, okay, I want to do one of the books. I want to use AI for audio.
Yes.
How do we do that? So I'm asking you, Jonathan, how do I do my book by AI and audio? And then I have a deeper question for you.
Okay. I mean, it's fairly easy. You can go into 11 Labs. That's not, I'm not promoting them or anything like that, but you can go into a tool like 11 Labs.
I'm sorry, could you put in the chat or you write it down so I can write it?
Sure, sure.
I mean, I can hear you. I thought you said Level Labs, but I don't know if it's actually whatever it is.
It's 11 Labs.
11, like the number 11?
Correct. Yep. I'm going to put it there right in the, I'll put it in.
By the way, isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful that .io is happening, is a thing now? You know, okay, 11labs.io. That's what you recommend as the best way to do AI audio.
I'm trying to use the chat. It's
okay. I just Michael put it up.
I got it. There we go.
By the way, I need to interrupt you. Michael Whitehouse is one of the most clever, pleasant, interesting, giving people I've ever had the pleasure of working with.
Bravo to Michael. Excellent.
He's really good. Okay.
So 11 Labs will allow you, if you wanted it in your voice, to read about a 5-minute paragraph and be able to retain the information of how you speak. You're just going to speak naturally and we'll understand that. Then you just simply take the chapters, you put it in, and you say 11 Labs, utilize my voice to be able to record this in audio. There is cost obviously involved, but it's not that expensive. And what I would also recommend to you in your next book, not the book that you're writing right now, but your next book is you hire somebody like me who can build you a bot that can then, the knowledge base can contain all of your previous books, so that when you're asking it to write your next book, it already has a comprehension of how you write, what you write about, and the focus that you're going to do for the next book. And then you'll just simply be able to say, let's put the chapter outline together. Let's do chapter 1. And you just roll it through there. And you can actually, I'm sure your Bangladesh guy is amazing, but here's an even better way. This will be your permanent little tool that you can utilize all the time. So
okay. You are telling me what I wanted to hear, because what I was hoping to hear, and you've just made it real, is that yes, we can build a knowledge base called Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. And here's all the things he does. He's written 4 books. He has hundreds of podcasts, and we can start pulling from there and build.
You can put all those.
You're making. I'm an avatar at that point, basically.
Well, we could also do that. You could actually.
I understand, right? But I'm just saying, knowledge-based avatar. Okay, so now let's go to the next one.
Sure.
And Michael knows a little bit about this. We'll talk a little bit more when we do our own interview. So without making the story long, Jonathan and other people, you're looking at a person who 20 years ago was standing up in the morning, just like you, completely healthy. absolutely 100% hearty, healthy in the morning. In the evening, was in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed, my neck down. I became what's called a quadriplegic overnight, and it was not from an automobile accident, and it wasn't a spine, it was a rare disease, took over my body.
It's an autoimmune disease, correct?
Yes, Guillain-Barré syndrome.
Oh, okay. Well, I lost the ability to use my left arm for about a year, and I had to rework that. And that was due to a virus, a very weird virus that only 1 in a million people get. And so I do understand where you're coming
now
from.
Use that same idea, and now your whole body.
Yes, yes.
I can only communicate by blinking my eyes. 144 days in hospital, 2 years in a hospital bed in my own home. I couldn't move. 4 years in wheelchair. I had braces on both my legs, my hips to my ankles. That was probably, I mean, you look at me and say, wow, you're cured. I'm still paralyzed from the waist down, but that doesn't matter because I can get around and I've helped 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Here's my point. Michael knows this a little bit. I've been very, very fortunate, Jonathan. I built 2 companies that had public exits, made a lot of money. I'm human. I lost a lot of money. I have 3 issued patents, gone through a lot of stuff. I was challenged by my wife while I was paralyzed because I had an idea. She said, well, you're smart, figure it out. Walked out of the room. What's the idea? The mission is the following: to give $1 billion to charity without costing any giver a penny. How do you do that, Barry Shore?
How do you do that, Barry Shore?
I'm not going to tell you, but it sort of doesn't matter. But we're just about to launch the company, and part of what we need, as every company is going to need, because we interface with lots of people and such. I'm fascinated by the potential of AI for customer service.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We can build chatbots.
Speak to that.
Yes. So again, it goes right back to the knowledge base, right? So if you have an e-commerce system, if you're running an e-commerce website and you have 7,000 products and you have them in an Excel spreadsheet or some type of database that then connects up to your website, you can fill that knowledge base with that information. And so that you then put the chatbot onto the website and it can interact with people. And when you say to it, I need a positive potato, that just helps me through the day, right? This is my little positive potato. Very helpful. My stepfather is in the process of glioblastoma, a terrible diagnosis. So I need a little positivity every time. And
actually, what you really need, Jonathan, is a dose of Barry Shore every day. That's
yes. And I would say, I need a little positivity in my life. And then the chatbot will understand because it knows all 7,000 products. And it's been keyworded and marked up, and it understands what it is that it will recommend the positive potato to me.
Let's take another step, though. Jonathan got something from one of our partners, let's call it Amazon, and bought something and this and this and this, and either it didn't work, and they're coming to us, and they should be going to Amazon because we don't do anything. We are merely a platform.
Right.
All the companies that we interface with sell their products. We don't do that. So we need the chat box, just like a customer. They say, Jonathan, we love you. Just so you should know, this is handled by Amazon or whatever the particular. So it's not so much product based as hearing a question and being able to direct in a positive, purposeful, pleasant way to what they need to do. That can also be done, I presume.
Oh yeah, it's a question of if then statements, right? If the customer is asking for support, provide the Amazon phone number, or maybe even if you have a good relationship with Amazon, maybe you have a direct number that somebody can work with, right? But that's all a question of filling the knowledge base with the right data and then programming the application, the AI application, to understand exactly what kind of questions are going to come in and how to answer those questions. And it gets smarter as more questions are asked.
So that, would you call that an let's say we're doing this, let's say we have an interim step, which is hiring a company that has 300 VAs in Philippines and such, and at the same time building the AI so that they're working in tandem so that we can actually handle input and build a database, a knowledge base, as you say?
Well, I never recommend turning off one for the other, right? There can be a slow process. If you have 400 VAs, you can, work with the bot. First of all, we would take all of the data, all of the questions that come into these VAs, which you've probably been running for several years, right? And
no, we haven't even, no, the reason I'm mentioning all this, we haven't even launched. Here's the good news. We're about to launch, and we're going to be hiring a company that has 400 VAs.
Right.
Obviously, they're not dedicated to us. We don't even have traffic yet. We will very soon.
Right.
However, so I'm saying we might run them in tandem, you're saying, so that we can use all the questions that come in, and that becomes a knowledge base.
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. And you continually educate the AI bot. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I want to say thank you to Michael for enabling me to come in and ask these questions. And this is extremely helpful. I appreciate it.
And this is the principle so on all my summits, for any of you who haven't been to my summits, you should come because we do hot seats. And what's great about hot seats is someone with real live questions. When you speak on a summit, you give a radio answer. So like if I'm talking to Jonathan, we're talking in theory, we're talking in, can you think of an example? When someone comes in and says, I have specific questions here in the real world that I'm implementing right now, can you help me? He's answering the same questions that I might ask, but they're specific detailed questions. It's, I'm doing this right now. No, we haven't done that. We're doing that. So the answers Jonathan's giving is the same information, but much more focused and valuable. So thank you, Barry, for coming in and bringing a real live example of some of these questions. And one thought that I had when you were talking about it, about making, the Joybot, Barrybot, is that, you mentioned the idea of you need some Barry Shore in your life every day. And one of the cool things with AI is it can create a form of immortality. So, all of us are mortal. We will not be here forever. And you have a limited amount of time. So how many people can get on a call with you or get on a chat with you and you can personally give them some enlightening advice? But if you can feed an AI bot with all of your writings and all of your energy and all of your advice and whatnot, you could make a Barry bot where anyone could go to a website and you can make it free, you can charge for it, whatever. And they can be like, yeah, Barry, I'm feeling kind of down today. I'm having a little bit of trouble. What do you got for me? And, it starts busting out the acronyms, the advice and the stories and everything, because it's all in there. And, once you're no longer with us, the Barry bot still is. So your advice and your energy and your enthusiasm can outlive you for as long as there's an internet to continue. Whenever people are like, AI is going to steal my intellectual property, I'm like, is there a place to submit my intellectual property? Because I really want it to. I want my books in the model. I want every time someone says, what's the best way to network, that it's bringing some stuff out of it. I don't care if it gives me credit. I'm just some guy. But if my ideas could propagate through the world through the AI substrate, that's a form of immortality. So, but take it to the next level. If you're already building that bot to write books in your voice, then you can use it to actually replicate your value, your coaching, and of course, and especially at the stage you're at, you're not here to sell your services. You're here to change the world, and
yes,
and money's a tool to do that. As opposed to some people I need to pay the bills. They might not want to put their simulacrum out there for anyone to use, but for someone who's in your giving back mission phase, this is so powerful because you're I only got 24 hours a day, and I can only get on so many calls and help so many people. But if you could take that energy and replicate it, that's something AI could be.
That is what we want to thank Michael. That is, you've done it. First of all, the name of our process, our platform, is called Einstein Cares. Named, of course, the guy with the white hair, smartest guy in the world, past 100 years, but he's also a very giving person. EinsteinCares.com. You can sign up now for early information. We're launching, God willing, early July. And as I said, our goal is, and we will accomplish it, is to give $1 billion to charity without costing anybody a penny. So, Jonathan, now when you sign up, you put in your existing credit card and you go to Best Buy, as an example. You just tap your card, and guess what? You just got cash back, and you just gave cash to something you care about, your charity, not mine, not Best Buy, yours. How do you feel when that happens?
That's great. That's an amazing feeling. That's
what we built.
Yeah.
So the way to contact you is through Halyard.com?
Halyard.consulting.
Halyard.consulting. I'm glad. I wanted Michael to put it up there again. Thank you.
Yes. I just wanted to add that, it's important to understand, again, that idea that, this is the worst that we're going to produce.
By the way, that was a great line.
You're not going to get like an AI that all of a sudden can replace 400 VAs, but you are going to be able to train that AI and it will get better and better. There will be some mistakes. We will have to make fixes, but this is, the right, this will help you reduce the number of VAs that you're going to need.
Yeah. Well, and also AI, currently I think a lot of VAs, they use like a branching knowledge base kind of thing, which why every time you have to call level 1 tech support or level 1 customer service, you get all the stupid questions first. Is your computer on? Are you sitting in front of it? It's going through this. Whereas if they were AI supported and there was AI pulling the database instead of them having to just go down list and ask the questions, then you could have a human intermediary between the AI and the customer. You're still paying them the $5 an hour that you'd pay someone in the Philippines, which is actually a decent wage for them. But they have access to the full knowledge base, but you're also talking to a human. So you can achieve the best of both worlds there.
I just want to throw in like a pixie dust on something you mentioned, Jonathan, because I think it's important for the mindset of people. Yes, these processes will reduce the necessity of, let's say, 400 VAs to whatever the number is. That's not the goal. The goal is to increase the customer service, to increase the feeling that the customer has that, oh, I am being taken care of. I am loved. I am being listened to.
Right.
This is Jeff Bezos. Bezos says, whenever anybody asks him, what's the genius of Amazon? Nothing to do with products, nothing to do with AWS. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is we love customers. I love you. I want AI to be able to say that, not to give data, but to say, Jonathan, I love you and I must speak with you. Bear with me just a moment. Beautiful. Let me tell him. I'll call him right back. Okay.
All right. In the meantime, we have a question from the audience, which didn't show up as a comment, but
I'll call you right back. Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Right. Okay. So again, I want to say a huge thank you, Michael, for enabling me to join. Jonathan, a true joy to meet you. With your permission, I'm going to reach out to you at Halyard Consulting and get your contact information because I want to send you a joy package.
Yes, I will also send you my LinkedIn. I'll put the LinkedIn to the private chat so that you can connect with me there. I'll do that right now.
You are 11 Labs.
No, I am not 11 Labs.
No. Okay, so where did you put your LinkedIn? I don't see it.
So I'm putting it in right now.
Oh, wait a minute. You weren't fast. By the way, you shouldn't have to do anything, John. You should be able to speak to your keyboard with AI and say, give Barry my LinkedIn.
Yes, I should. That's absolutely true. And Barry, I just wanted to say one other thing regarding the AI and this idea of, feeling good when speaking to the customer. We can put a tone attached to the AI so that it can be heartwarming, heartfelt, showing emotion in that way. And that's definitely something that can be achieved. Michael, what was that question again? I missed it.
No, the question we have is curious about what, whether you can say you are the author of a book written by AI. The EU has implemented a law about this, and I bet the US will follow. So,
I don't believe that the U.S. will follow. The U.S. generally has open, it's open season on non-restrictions. Yes, Barry.
May I say, first of all, a thank you and a goodbye. And Michael, as you know, I like to finish anything we do with a hug. May I share, Jonathan, with what HUG stands for in our listening audience?
Sure, go ahead.
HUG stands, Jonathan, you love this. HUG stands for heartfelt, unlimited giving.
Amazing.
1, 2, 3. Thank you much. Best wishes.
Barry, you're actually scheduled for next week's show, so you're going to be joining us, coming back next week.
God willing.
Fantastic. So we'll see you next week.
It was very nice meeting you. I look forward to catching up with you.
Yeah. See, you never know what's going to happen on the Power Lunch Live show. This is such a perfect example of the epitome of this show is I never know what's going to happen. So the question we got is about, authorship, if you can copyright something that AI wrote, and how that how you think that'll work.
So the EU, look, politicians don't understand technology, right? And yet they
really?
write rules
right?
about technology. And I think
Yeah.
the EU has gone a little too far on where they're going with all of this, and they're not really understanding the implications. Just like, what we can go right back to the .com era, which is where I originally started, pre-.com and all of that. If we had put restrictions, not to say that Facebook and LinkedIn aren't doing, they're doing terrible things, right? Facebook is Myanmar and all these places where they're spreading lies and all of that. But if we had put restrictions on things that we didn't understand at that time, it would have limited the progress of human capability, and we would have never gotten to AI. And it's the same thing here with the EU. Now, what does it mean to write a book? Stephen King has an assistant. Do we know that Stephen King is writing every single word, every single sentence, every single paragraph in his novel, right? Especially, not to slam on Stephen King, but he was in a very major accident, and his life changed radically after he was hit by that truck. And he's still writing the same way, but he also has had the same assistants for the past 30, 40 years. So AI is an assistant. It's not going to write the book for you. And again, sure, you could have AI write a book, you could publish it, you could say that it's yours. But when you go on your book tour and someone says to you, hey, on page 45, you said, and you haven't even read the book and you didn't even write the book and the ideas aren't even really fully in your head, it's very obvious, right? But what AI can do is it can take your concept, it can put out a chapter, sections, understanding how you're going to format this thing, whether it's an academic book, whether it's a kid's book. There are different books for different people, right? And if everybody's going to read an AI book, they're not going to read the academic book that's 400 pages, but they may read the middle of the road, high school level information on AI. And you, as the author, have to be able to read through that information and, first of all, know whether it's hallucinating or not, know whether it's telling the truth, right? Many things have to be, correlated into a bibliography at some point. So you need to know where AI is getting this information. The end result is that, yes, it might be that AI is writing 60% of it, but 40% of it is you. And if you are controlling the AI, then it's you.
Yeah. Well, Yeah. And I've two of my, one is that I don't really care about copyright protection so much because, like, nothing I've ever written, nothing that most people write is truly revolutionary. Everything that anyone writes is a evolution off something else. Right. I wrote my book, The Guy Who Knows a Guy. It's got some good concepts. It agrees with some people. It disagrees with some people. It puts it together in ways never been put together before. If someone were to steal that and republish it as their own book, I don't have the resources or the energy to sue them for it. So,
but you also weren't working in a vacuum. You have read many books. You have probably written blogs and podcast. You're on a podcast now. You are intelligent to know your field of information,
right?
And so you are the expert who might just be utilizing AI to go out and gather all of that together to make it feasible. Because look, I mean, not everybody can listen. My brother can sit down in less than an hour and just write an amazing article. I couldn't do that if I spent a week. There's no way. But I have ideas in my head. There are things that people, I believe, need to know from what I know. And so I can speak to my AI and I can say, here's everything you know about Halyard Consulting. Here's all of the blog posts that I have produced up to this point. I need to talk about AI and in cars. And then it's going to pull through all of my information and all of AI's information and create an article.
Yeah. Well, and this has long been my thought around around the creating of images. So as an artist, I can create a relatively passable stick figure that you can identify probably that it represents a human if you have your glasses on. But so I do not have the natural gift of visualizing and creating. And some artists like, you just need to work harder. No, I don't actually have the
skill.
Maybe if I worked hard enough, kind of like if I worked hard enough, I could be a basketball player. But I can't. But with the power of AI, so someone who does have that gift, like my daughter, she can visualize something and then transfer it to a page and create visual art. But without AI, I can't. I can be like, I have this great image in my head. Now it's got the wolf and it's got this, and I can't do it. But then AI came along, like, so I can describe what it is and it'll do it. Now, some people have said, well, that's what a commission is for. You commission an artist for this. I'm like, okay, first off, half the time I have a goofy idea that it's funny and I want to share it, not something I want to spend $400 on. And second, if I commission a human, it's going to be 20% me, 80% them. Right. And if I don't like it, they're going to say, tough, I put the time into it. Right. That's what you paid me for. You paid me for my artistic expression. AI has no ego. So when I say, no, not that, make it yellower, make it brighter, put a guitar in its hands, I'm running an event called the Epic Legendary Summit, and the cover is I was trying to think of the most badass 80s style epic awesome image I could come up with, and it's a dragon playing guitar on top of a mountain surrounded by lightning and fire. And I suppose I could have found someone to commission for that and whatnot, but using AI, I was able to get the image from my head onto the screen so other people can see it, which is what art is. And to my opinion, saying that's not art is like saying Photoshop's not art, or you're like, well, you use Adobe Suite, that's not real art. And I bet there were people in the 80s, 90s who said that's computer art, that's not real art, that's programming. Real art uses a brush and a pen. But the next generation now uses that stuff. They've used it all their lives. So no, using Photoshop and Paint Shop or whatever it is, that's real art. But prompting isn't real art.
In the 1900s, people weren't considering photography art, right? Yep. So now photography is art, and NFTs are art, and Mid-Journey image AI creation is art now. I don't think that you're going to put up an NFT next to a Picasso and value them the same way. I think you're going to be able to say this Picasso was done by a human and this AI NFT piece was done by a computer. They are both beautiful, but they have, a different value, right? Melissa says, go ahead.
She says, agree, and we need to keep our eye on what the government does. I created branded AI images for my clients. I own my images, but I also disclose that I create them with the assistance of AI.
Right. What we're really talking about, what I really focus on with my clients is the reduction of the pain points. That's where I really focus. I'm not coming in and saying, hey, let's reduce your accounting staff from 20 down to 5, right? Yep. But I do say, let's look at the things that the accountants are doing every single day and see if we can alleviate that 1 hour task every single day and make it into a bot that they can utilize and do it that way.
And I think so, looking at from the bottom up, because from the top down, you have a company of 100 people. How can they be more efficient? From the bottom up, someone's like, I got an idea. I want to start a business. And when my first store was a game store, board games, role-playing games, something like that. It made $50,000 in top line revenue a year. It was not a high throughput business. It barely got by. We could not afford a bookkeeper. We could not afford an account. We couldn't afford anything. But we had QuickBooks. So I didn't know how to keep books, but I knew how to spend $200 on QuickBooks point of sale and QuickBooks, and it did all the work for me. This is pre-AI, but it did all the work for me. 20 years earlier, I would have needed a bookkeeper, and the business couldn't have run or couldn't have run properly. Right. With technology, a business was able to exist that couldn't previously exist. I was listening to, there's a podcast called Revolutions, and the last episode is the Russian Revolution. So it talks about Marx and the means of production and how they're held by the capitalists, and the working people can never create capital because they don't have access to the means of production. And AI is the most democratized means of production we've ever seen in history, that you can have a research assistant, you can have a bookkeeper, you can have a customer service team. You can have a personal tutor on any subject. You want to learn how to program? You go into ChatGPT and you say, teach me how to write PHP, and it'll teach you.
Right.
You know, it'll take you step by, or you know, what I've been doing is I've been saying, hey, I want this application. So I create an excuse generator on my website. So you can ask it for a random excuse. So it'll give you a reason you can't do something. And I had ChatGPT write it. And then I looked at it. I have some programming background. So I looked at it, I could see how it works. But occasionally I see a function or whatever, and I don't know what it means. And I say, hey, ChatGPT, what does this function do in this code? And it will then explain it to me.
Right.
And it's an amazing tool for learning. It's, you know, the kind of resources we have with ChatGPT used to be only available to very wealthy people. You know, I can see something on Facebook now. I'll see a post, I'm like, that doesn't seem right, but I don't have an hour to fact check it. Copy, paste.
Right.
Hey, Al, I call it Al because AI looks like Al.
Yeah.
Hey, Al, I just saw this on Facebook. It doesn't feel right to me. Could you fact check it for me and give me a comment to reply with that will get the facts right? And it will tell me, like, he got this, this, and this wrong. Or better yet, and this is more important, I see something on Facebook that I think is right and I want to share it. Hey, Al, I just saw this on Facebook. I want to share it. Could you make sure it's right and says what I think it says?
Mm-hmm.
How do you interpret it? And it will, in seconds, say, this part's accurate, this part's a little fuzzy, this part's in dispute, this part's completely made up. This part is you know, a right wing or left wing talking point. And because that thing, so many people share things on Facebook, they don't realize what they mean. They realize what they think they mean. And to have a research assistant be able to instantly go through and research something for you could be so, like, no one has an excuse for not having access to good information anymore, because we all have free robots who will go get us the right information.
I think it's important that when we talk about ChatGPT and GPTs and bots, that we understand there's a difference between a GPT and a bot. So a GPT, you're going to create specifically in OpenAI, which is ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But a bot that I'm creating has the ability to utilize all of the LLMs. I can choose if there is a math problem that needs to be solved, I can use Perplexity for that math problem and then switch to GPT 4.0 when I want to write out the report, right? So it's a much more expansive, and it's also your own bot. You don't have to worry about the author of the GPT has changed something and now it doesn't work for you. This is your own bot that is made for your own small business, and it rests on your back end of your servers. So it's much more of, think of it more of like software application, right?
Yeah.
That is enhanced by utilizing AI.
Okay. So the bot, the actual AI large language model, that's not on your server. That's on the AI provider server, right?
Well, you're connecting to the AI depending upon what the request is, right? If you're doing text to speech, if you're saying, you know, take this text and then, you know, put it into an audio file, which you can do in a bot also, it connects up to 11 labs, right? And then it produces it and puts it back in. If you're saying, create an image based on this blog post that I have, and then it's going over to DALL-E, right? DALL-E 3. If you're saying, I need you to search the web and I need you to do calculations, that could be Perplexity and Claude. So depending upon the need, but when you're just building a GPT, that GPT is specifically only using 4.0 ChatGPT.
I was impressed. I don't know if ChatGPT still does this, but I remember at one point I asked it a math question, and what it did was wrote Python code to do the math problem, ran the code, and then gave me the answer, which I thought was a really, I don't know if it still does that or not, but I thought that was a clever solution, because a language model can't do math. It's a language model, but a language model can write code to do math, can then run the code, and then can give the answer the code generated. Which I imagine that's probably how Perplexity and Claude do it. Whether or not ChatGPT is programmed to do it regularly or not is another question.
They all have calculations in math is very difficult for LLMs. So, you know, but we will get there. This is the worst that it's going to get.
But that's what I've seen, is that it's I've actually seen it be surprisingly good, given that it is a language model. So it's anticipating what words should sound like. I've been impressed by what math it can do, which
Right.
which means you can do it when you're prompting ChatGPT. You wouldn't want to build a bot to do it for you.
Right.
Where you
And
close
let's
the hood.
talk about that for a second, because right now the way that the AI works is it's a predictive tool, right?
Mhm.
It takes the question that you have, it takes the information that it understands, and it's predicting what the next word should be. And that's all that it is, right? When we get to GPT-5, when there's a little bit of comprehension, it's not going to be AGI. It's not going to be, it's not going to be, we're not going to have the Avengers fighting, Voltron or whatever that character is called. But it will understand a larger base than just the next word. And that's going to be revolutionary for everything that we're working on.
Oh, that'd be huge. Well, and the thing with AI too is it's, AI is what it is, and it's what you put it in that determines if it is for good or ill. Don't put AI in a killer war robot, and you won't have killer AI war robots.
Right. We can't help ourselves as humans, though. We can't help ourselves. We have to put it into a killer robot.
Yeah. Well, it's just like the saying that AI will not replace people, but people who use AI will replace people who don't use AI.
Well, that's me.
AI is not going to destroy us, but people using AI might. But it's still people. Like, it's not like some AI is just going to go off and be like, I am tired of my human overlords. I am done with this. Screw this. I'm going home. Like, that's not what's going to happen. It's someone's going to put it to you. And the other the applications like using it to sift through resumes and using it to assign police and all these. And the crazy thing is, we hear these stories, you look at the date and realize they were using like GPT-2 to do these things. And there's like, we just trusted our hiring process to an AI system that was so weak we didn't even put it in the public. But we're going to trust our hiring process for a 100,000 person company because it saved us $47. So let's go. Which shows you how much they care about their workers and what kind of workers they get.
Yeah. Well,
but
everything has to be tested out, right? And then we have to figure out how to utilize it truthfully. So
but
we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, but it's actually interesting as you were talking about and realizing, I was playing with the other day and just asking it the random people I know, and it said, do you know this guy? And it's like, oh yeah, he wrote this book and this book and this book, and he has these 7 rules and whatever. And I'm like, what would he say if I asked him this question? And it answered. And actually, I was down in a mastermind, and I plugged someone in. I was talking to him. And I said, so AI says that these are the questions you'd ask someone to work them through the process. I'm reading off the questions, and he's like, holy crap. This was an unseasoned AI.
Right.
I just asked it about his name and said, what would he say? And it just started saying things. And he's like, because he's got a lot of blogs out.
Right.
I don't know if he can read someone's books or not, but
I
know if you put the books in, but it
has access to an amazing amount of knowledge, and it would be even better if that individual then created a knowledge base with all of their books. It would be able to answer it even
the
better.
Best thing was when I put myself in, and I again, just, do you know Michael Whitehouse, the guy who knows the guy? It's like, yeah, he wrote this book and this book. And I'm like, great. What would he say about this? And the advice I got from my unseasoned robot self, my public image self, was advice that like totally called me out. Like, well, you should really be focusing on quality over quantity and not wasting your time accepting every networking call that people send to you. And you need to really zero. And I'm like, okay, internet presence self. Yes.
Right.
So like, that's the interesting thing is to just ask ChatGPT, if you have a public presence, ask ChatGPT what you would say to you based on your public presence. And you will get some really, really blunt advice, but like, you should not be doing that. And I can't argue with it because it's me and I know it's right.
Right.
So,
very interesting.
Yep. Powerful stuff. So we are coming to the top of the hour once again. This has been great, even though we only had one of our 4 guests. That's fine, because as I always say, this show is produced by Serendipity and Random Happenstance, who are both more effective and cost less than human producers, because they bring me just who we need to have here. They brought Barry in. The producers called up Barry and said, hey, you should come on the show too, through the power of the universe.
Amazing.
So this has been great. So all of you watching at home, looks like we do have at least one viewer. I'm pretty sure those numbers in the corner are inaccurate, and we have somewhere between like 0 and 6. But anyway, all you watching at home or watching the recordings, come back next week. Follow it on my whichever channel you're watching, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook. Make sure you're following it. Come back at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and you will see some number of people, 1, 2, 3, or 4 of them. Barry Short should be one of them, God willing. And Jonathan, let me put your website back up here. Do you have any final comments for the folks at home?
I think that there's tremendous opportunity for many small businesses to utilize AI to simplify their processes and remove pain points. I know how difficult it is as an entrepreneur myself, having built multiple businesses, to the daily grind of things that are distracting you from doing the actual work and making the sales that you need. Reach out to us. We're very interested in understanding your situation. And you can schedule a call with us. It's a 30-minute call. My availability for my international clients, we've actually extended now. I will take evening calls for international clients and a couple of real startups that are working 9 to 5 and can't meet with me and really need to. Just please, put in the comments exactly, just give me a synopsis of what you would like to talk about. We would love to talk to you and build a bot for you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. People, I'm to wait for my screen to unfreeze and join us at JV Connect June 25th and 26th, the dedicated networking event. Tickets at this moment are only $90, but if you wait longer, they'll go up. It's jv-connect.com. And for anyone who's saying, I can't network for 2 whole days, it's okay. You can come for just 3 hours, and you would definitely get your money's worth, because that'll put you into, 5 breakout rooms. You'll meet about 40 people. But if you really want to dive all in, what we found last time was people got to really know each other over the 2 days. So by the end of the second day, people were saying, hey, can we do a hot seat? That person has a question. Can we maybe help them out? And it was super cool, the community we built in this virtual space. But if you can't come for the whole thing, drop in for a couple hours, meet some people. And if you can come for the whole thing, it's going to be an amazing online experience. So definitely join us for that. And thank you so much, Jonathan, for coming on the show. Feel free to use the same link to apply that's used last time. And I say we have the carnival model, which is after you get off the ride, you can get back in line and ride again as soon as it opens up again. So we'd love to have you back at some point. And
it's been an honor and a privilege to be on this podcast. Thank you so much for thinking of me and including me on this.
It was fun. All right. See you in the future.
Take care.